pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks for coming, everybody. Did everybody get a chance to sign the sheet that wants to speak tonight? Signing sheet?
Yes, if you wish to speak tonight, there's a guest and citizens sheet right there. Thank you, sir.
Okay, call to order.
Roll call. Shane Bailey,
Present.
Shayna Delaney. Here. Darren Howell, excused. Don Miller.
Here.
Teresa Stratton.
Here.
Randy Thorpe.
Here.
James Barco. Here. Mayor Chip Norella.
Here.
Attorney Chris Farrow. Michelle Dubalski. Here. Blair House. Open call.
Thank you, Heather. Minutes. Everybody get a chance to feel through them?
Yes, I read them. It was very good minutes, I thought, for this month. I didn't find any mistakes or any misspellings. Good job.
Thank you.
Good job.
The 21st, did you say, of January?
Yes.
I make a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second it.
Randy made a motion, Teresa seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Nays? Abstentions? Motion passes. Bill list.
I have one addition, whenever you're ready.
Shoot.
It's to the PSAB. It's for $40 for the membership directory, and then for each person that would like a copy of the magazine, it's $10 each. So we get a free copy from the office, but our borough, but we'd like a copy.
Teresa wants one, right, the copy from the magazine?
Yes, please.
Read.
No.
Would you like a copy?
You can always come in here and read the one that comes to the borough building.
Mhm.
All right.
So that would be $40 for the dues, well,
$80 total.
$80, thank you.
What's the Bruce Albury?
That is for a title search back in May that, it was for in the park.
Bruce is a title searcher, he did the title searches for the park, in order for certification.
Okay.
Is this bill from you for the hearing? Is that for the solar hearing?
Yes.
And how come Iron Hill, how come we have that bill for $173?
I don't know, there were two before the meeting, and then afterward, we had two fill-ups after we set the, Randy, when was that set up? After it was middle of November?
After the
There were
12th?
two after the
After
12th.
the 12th meeting?
So they know,
That
so
includes,
they know.
Public Works, or
It was just the police that filled up there.
the truck didn't go up there?
No, they signed off, just the police.
What's a Gannett, PA
Oh,
logo?
that's the advertisement.
Oh,
that's- yeah.
got it, okay. And then the 8509, that's for,
That's for the, I just have it right here.
is that a down payment?
It's for the Little League, bases.
Right, that comes out of
That comes out of the money in the
Sports Complex Fund?
$550,000.
Yep, okay. Anybody else need more time for the bills?
I make a motion to pay the bills with one addition.
I'll second it.
Randy made a motion to pass the bills, Shayna seconded it, all in favor? Aye. Nays, abstentions, motion passes.
On other years, we've had Borough Insurance come and explain.
Yeah.
Boy, that's a big bill, then $21,000,
It went up like $3 grand.
yeah.
And they go up all the time. Ours is ridiculous.
What?
Our insurance, car insurance it doubled.
I think we should have him come in
Really?
and explain and see if there's some way we can cut down on that.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be next month, but sometime.
You know, I don't know the building.
What's that?
There's also that other building on
Oh,
The
right,
the shed,
the new material shed.
yeah. But I don't know where, any, is that done by when?
No, that's not done. I'll touch on that a little bit. Police report.
I have to report, chief isn't here, he's not feeling well. For the month of November, we had 2 disabled vehicles, 2 assist police agencies, 2 disorderly conducts, 2 motor vehicle accidents, 1 PFA served, 3 public assist motorists, 2 suspicious vehicles, 4 written warnings issued, 2 traffic citations issued, 9 investigations, total calls for the month 64.
Mr. Mayor,
Thank you.
fire company report. Anybody here for fire company?
No, and I didn't get anything.
Okay. Mayor's report.
I'd like to ask Borough Council for an executive session.
Council.
Someone have to make a motion.
So it needs to be a motion from the council.
I'll make the motion.
Well, we gotta say what's it in regards to.
Personnel issue.
But this is a report to the English court.
Someone made a motion?
I made the motion.
Shayna? I'll second it.
Shana made a motion. Teresa seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Everybody? Yes? Noes? Abstentions?
Extension.
Okay, let's break for a executive session. Folks, we'll be right back. Yeah, we'll just go with that.
Just so you all know, the camera will still be rolling.
We'll still talk about you, don't worry.
That's okay.
That's a given.
Yeah, it's all right.
Solicitor
Yeah,
just
broad
made a
shoulders.
good suggestion. I'm willing to hold this till the end of the meeting.
That way anybody that's not interested can go home.
So
Okay.
we're only at the end of, okay.
False alarm. Zoning officer report.
Teresa has it.
Okay, Joe is working in Hazelton tonight, so he couldn't make it. He's got 1 zoning permit, one zoning permit issued, multiple 811 calls, 0 resident complaints, 2 meetings, 1 with the fire department and 1 for zoning about a garage, multiple phone calls and emails, had to return permits to NEIC that were wrongfully dropped off at our building, and he's brought in over $12K for the year in fees.
Great. Thank you, Teresa.
You're welcome.
I'd like to have him come to the meeting once in a while, if he could.
We'll talk to him. Solicitor's report.
Nothing to report.
Thank you, sir. Correspondence.
Alright, so we have a ugly sweater chamber mixer tomorrow night at the Jam Room Brewing Company. I have the Waymart Area Authority minutes, if anybody is interested, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Heather. Guests and citizens. Pearl Salvo.
James Hunt is here.
Yes.
And
Okay.
you're okay.
Oh, okay, I was going off this one.
Yeah, I know.
Gotcha, okay. Alright, oh, Pearl should be on here too? Oh, so Pearl and James are together?
Yes.
Oh, okay, okay. Hello,
How are you?
wonderful, you?
Very good, thank you. Good evening. My name is Jim Hunt. I'm the Director of Governmental Relations for Berkheimer Tax Innovations. We were asked to come tonight to just give an overview of the 2 taxes that are available to the borough for enactment under Act 511 that you currently are not collecting. The first would be the earned income tax, which is a tax that allows the borough to place a wage tax and net profits tax on the residents and non-residents working within the borough. the resident tax, the way that the earned income tax works, if you pay it where you work and your municipality has it where you live, those funds would be returned here to Waymart, Borough. And you also would have the ability to tax non-residents who work within the borough at a rate of up to 1% if they do not have an earned income tax where they currently reside. Of the 2,107 municipalities in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, only 93 currently do not have this tax in place. Waymart happens to be one of them. And the way that the tax is applied is it's applied on the exact same income that is taxable on your PA 40 form on line 1 and line 4. Line 1 being wages, line 4 being net profits. And then you have, as I stated, have the ability to tax up to 1%. In 2023, sorry, let me take a step back. We have found through our years of collecting this tax, 80 plus at this point, that approximately 40% of your residents would be subject to an earned income tax. The last census estimate showed that you had 1,297 residents in the borough. So 519 residents would be subject to this tax if you were to consider it. Point of consideration for that is there are, in 2023, 372 of your residents are already paying this tax to where they work. So if the borough were to, at some point, enact that tax, those funds would return to the borough in the tax year in which the tax was enacted. Last year, in 2023, those residents of the borough paid $104,419.92 where they worked. So if you were to enact the tax, that would be returned here into the borough.
Excuse me, what was that figure again? I'm sorry.
$104,419.92.
Is the whole thing returned?
The whole 1%. As an example, if you are a resident of Waymart Borough, working in the city of Scranton, you're currently paying the city of Scranton 1% as a non-resident wage tax. If you were to implement that tax at 1%, the full 1%, for the tax year in which it began would be returned to the borough. So Scranton would no longer retain those funds. It would actually come back here to Waymart.
So Scranton would get nothing?
They would get nothing,
Correct.
besides the local service tax, which is the right to work within the city. But the 1% wage tax would be returned here to the borough. We estimate that if the borough were to implement the tax, in year one, it would seek collections between $190,000 and $210,000. In year two, that collection figure would increase to $255,000 to $285,000. And the reason for that difference is in year one, because this tax is remitted on a quarterly basis. The fourth quarter of year one would not be due until January 31st of the following year. So you would be getting only 3 quarters of collections in year one, and a full 4 quarters worth of collections in year two, as well as the first final returns. So if the tax is not being withheld by the individual's employer, they would be required to pay quarterly estimates based upon the prior year earnings as reported to the Commonwealth. A type of income that's taxable for earned income tax are wages, salaries, commissions, bonuses, tips, and incentive payments. And they are the exact same items that are taxable to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Also, the items that are non-taxable are insurance payments, pensions, annuity payments, unemployment, public assistance, death benefits, gifts, interest, and dividends, which are taxed by Pennsylvania under the personal income tax, but are not taxed on the local level. There are some crediting provisions that would be available to individuals who reside within Waymart Borough that may work in the state of New York. The state of New York is not a reciprocating state income tax state, so if you live in Pennsylvania but work in New York State, you actually pay New York State's state income tax. Their rate begins at 4.3% and goes as high as 7.9%. So currently, those individuals receive a credit towards their Pennsylvania liability, and then if there's any additional credit that is due, they are able to utilize that up to the tax rate that's in place here, that would be in place here in the borough. So it is something that the borough could consider if they were looking at additional revenue source. The implementation process requires that you would bring that matter up at a public meeting and vote to investigate it, at which point then you would be required to advertise for 3 consecutive weeks that you intend to potentially implement it at the next available meeting, which could not take place sooner than 4 weeks, the 4th week after the initial vote to do so. And then the second tax type that's available to the borough is the local service tax, which is the tax that is levied on individuals who are employed within the borough. The tax rate can be anywhere from $10 to $52. If the rate is greater than $10, then it is withheld as a weekly payroll deduction by the employer within the borough, and remitted on a quarterly basis. And then if your rate is greater than $10, then you also are required to have a $12,000 annual income exemption. So if an individual working within the borough, such as a part-time student, makes less than $12,000, they would be able to claim exemption from that tax, but it would be applied to everyone, both employed and self-employed within Waymart Borough with income greater than $12,000. And it would be withheld by the employer and remitted on a quarterly basis as the earned income tax is. Based upon the employment information that we have available for the borough, we would estimate that the annual income from the local service tax will be between $9,500 and $9,500 a year. That number could be a little bit higher for the sheer fact that currently employers here in Waymart Borough are only required to withhold the earned income tax from their employees who have the earned income tax where they work. Where they reside, which is a point I failed to make in describing the earned income tax. Currently, employers in the Commonwealth are required to identify for each employee the resident earned income tax rate and the non-resident earned income tax rate where they work, and withhold at the higher of that rate. So currently, a resident of Waymart working in Scranton, their employer is identifying that they have no earned income tax here due in the borough. The city's non-resident rate is 1%, so that is what they are withholding. So if the borough were to implement the tax, the employers here in the borough would have to identify all employees where they live and where they and working here. And if they did not have the tax where they live, then the borough would retain that full 1% of the earned income, or also they would be subject to the up to $52 local service tax that the borough could implement. Unfortunately, at this time, the local service tax, Act 7, requires that a local service tax be in place no later than December 1st of the year prior to it being collected, because it must be collected on a calendar year basis. So you cannot start in local service tax mid-year, but you can start in earned income tax at any point throughout the year. And we are the administrator for earned income taxes in Wayne County. That's under Act 32. Each county has to have a single administrator, and we've been appointed as hired as Wayne County's administrator to collect the earned income tax. And our compensation to do so is 3% of the monies that are distributed to each client here in Wayne County. So that's a general overview of both taxes. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you may have on either.
Does that 3% come off of the total? You take that total before we get,
Yeah, the way that it currently works here at Wayne County is it's netted, so as an example, if your total collections for the month are $20,000, prior to us doing the final distribution for that month, we would withhold $600 and you would get a final distribution and a report showing total collection of $20,000 minus the 600, and that you would have received $19,400 in earned income taxes for the month. And you would have access to those reports on our portal, and we do distribute in both cases, for both those taxes, monies that are received bi-weekly to our clients and reconciled down to zero at the end of each month.
okay, thank you.
I just wanted to say, we do have the local service tax in place now.
Okay.
We do have that.
Okay, I didn't, when I looked on our website, I did not see it, so I do apologize. Are you self-collecting it, or?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so I do apologize for that.
Do you know how much we bring in on that?
Budget.
Thank you, James.
And who are you hired by?
In the case of the local service tax, we would be hired by the borough.
No, but I mean, you said before you were
Per
hired
timer.
for the county.
Oh, for the county?
Who hired you?
Under Act 32, each municipality that had, Act 32 was implemented in 2012. At that time, each municipality and school district within each county they had an earned income tax in place, appointed a representative to that tax collection committee. And it was that tax collection committee's responsibility to vet the collectors that were available to collect that tax. And in the case of Wayne County, the municipalities that had the tax in at that place, at that time, chose Berkheimer as the administrator.
So who is paying that then?
The 3% is paid only by the municipalities that have an earned income tax in
And
place.
how many municipalities are there?
4, I believe, in Wayne County.
And another question, I used to work in Scranton, and I just wondered, Scranton and all these different places like DuPont and that, do they readily turn the money over to you, or do they hold the money?
Well, actually, in the case of most county, here in northeastern PA, we're the administrator. So what happens with earned income taxes is the employer provides us with the report. It lists all the employees, their wages, the taxes are withheld. We identify it down to the municipality and school district where those monies belong to, and they are then distributed that week to the respective recipient. So in your case, when you worked in the city of Scranton, when those monies came in through the employer in Lackawanna County, we identified that you had no tax rate here in Waymart, and that the city of Scranton should be in receipt of those funds, and it was sent to the city of Scranton as part of their weekly distribution.
Any other questions? Anybody? Open, floor is
Yeah,
open.
one more. If Waymart decided that we wanted to do this, I know you said we had to have a public meeting, would you be willing to come back and explain everything to the public?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
In fact, we just did that in South Canaan Township last Wednesday night, and we'll be doing it again next Wednesday night in South Canaan as well, because they've gotten through that initial process, and they're looking at possibly implement it for 2025. So yeah, we certainly would do so.
Okay,
And
thank you.
how many did you say again, out of the 1,200,
93 municipalities.
no, the
372 are outside the borough,
Oh.
so that leaves
Well, that is the
147
question I'm
within the
asking.
borough.
The question I'm asking is, how many adult working people did you say live in Waymart?
Well, the total population is 1,297.
Right.
We estimate, through our years of collecting this tax, on average, 40% of the total population will be subject to an earned income tax. So in this case, it would be 519 individuals.
So 60% are already,
About that, 60%
roughly
already.
already paying.
Correct, yeah, 372 of that.
Or are eligible.
For 147 people in the borough, this is gonna be a new tax for them, right?
Potentially, and,
What do you mean potentially?
well, the one caveat to that is if they work in Northampton County,
They don't,
or Tioga County,
they don't.
then we would not have those numbers that they're already paying it.
Okay.
But potentially could be an additional 147 people that would be subject to the tax.
So is that a discriminatory tax then?
It is not. It would be discriminatory if you only collected it from those that are already paying it. That's why you
But
require.
me, as a retired person, I don't have to pay it.
You don't, well, you don't pay it, but many municipalities look at the earned income tax for the sheer fact that they're either maxed out their real estate millage, or they're looking to be able to lower the real estate millage for those that are senior citizens in the future, because they're getting earned income tax monies from the individuals that are employed here in the borough.
Okay, what did you say? Did you say that again? What other municipalities lowered the millage?
There, a number of municipalities I've worked with in the past, once they've seen the earned income tax amounts that are coming in,
Mhm.
have been able to lower the real estate millage based upon the additional income coming in from the earned income tax.
What was it?
Who lowered the taxes?
Well, I live in Montgomery County, in Montgomery County, there are 72 municipalities, only 2 do not have an earned income tax in place. My municipality, West Norton Township, has in the past lowered or held their real estate millages stable because of the earned income tax monies that they collect.
Any other thoughts, concerns? It was a good presentation, very informative, I appreciate it. Do you have any literature or anything you can, any handouts?
Yeah, actually, I will send, I apologize, I will email my letter outlining all that information to Teresa, and so it can be shared.
And
Okay.
I'll forward the email to everybody. And just so I have the total right, this would be for the year, 104,419.92 is what you said, correct?
That's what was
That would
paid
come
last
back
year.
to the borough.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah, last year.
Shelley, do you have any thoughts?
Thank you.
You're the money lady.
No, I'm familiar with it.
Okay.
And, yeah, it's,
But we already get 20 with their current tax, right?
yeah, and local service tax,
Right.
yes.
So
yes.
this would replace the local service tax.
Not necessarily, you have the right to collect the vote.
Different type.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that.
If you work here in the borough, there would be double taxation, but if you work elsewhere, it would not be. Cause in an example, the individual works in the state of Scranton, their 1% is gonna come back here, but they're gonna continue to pay Scranton $52 a year for the right to work there.
They're paying that, ain't
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, so Holmesdale, Carbondale, any other municipalities that are within our 10-mile radius? 20-mile
Homestead
radius?
just turned this down, they had 4 or 5 meetings on it.
Okay.
I worked in Simpson, so I'm paying it to Simpson, Fell Township, I work at Gentex. So I'm paying it to somebody
So
over there.
Carbondale has it,
Yes.
Simpson has
Yeah,
it.
Carbondale has it, most of the larger municipalities, in, Carbon County and, Lackawanna County have this tax in place. In fact, I believe all municipalities in Lackawanna currently have a 1% earned income tax in place.
I paid Allentown.
I work at Waymart, so I'll have less money for my kids' tuition this year.
But we could offset the tax on your property.
Yeah, that happens.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
right, don't hold your breath on that.
Well, that's right, that's the only I would consider, personally, it's literally the only way I would consider something like that. But that was a great presentation.
Yeah,
It's a,
how many did I ask? I asked 3 times, what
it?
is it, where is it lower, but I still don't have the answer.
Waymart will be number 1,
Yeah.
will be the first.
That's not answering my question.
Yeah, I'm
Like
not aware.
twice they'll reject it.
Jane, you've been online,
And
this,
Holmesdale reject it.
Jane, this was proposed back in the red building,
Oh, I know
remember?
that. I went through this already once.
Yeah,
2012 was the last time we were asked to provide information on the earned income tax to the borough.
But I just wondered what municipalities lowered theirs.
We'll set the precedent. Thank you. Any other questions?
Answer the question.
He said he doesn't know.
There have been none, of the 4 municipalities in Wayne County, that have an earned income tax in place, I'm not aware of any of them that lowered their real estate tax, but we do not collect the real estate tax, so.
We'll be the first. That's the only way, me personally, one of seven votes, the only way I would consider it. But thank you very much for coming in, and I'm looking forward to your email. Any other questions for James and Rose? Pearl, sorry.
Forget that, huh?
I don't know how I forgot that. Anybody? Going once, going twice? You guys are free to go. You don't have to sit the whole time.
Okay,
Great.
well, thank you for your time. and
Unless you want to.
I will,
Sometimes there's fireworks.
Where did you guys come from?
actually, I live in Montgomery County, right outside of Pearl,
Wow.
Norristown, so.
Oh, man, what a drive.
I'm in Pittston.
Ah, you're local.
Yeah, yeah, wasn't local coming up here.
Be careful with the fog.
Yeah, it was, and the fog was real, that's why I
Welcome
was
to
late.
Waymart.
Yeah.
Watch
Okay.
Barbie Mountain.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, appreciate it.
I do apologize for not having handouts for everyone.
No worries. Just
Email
shoot that over to us.
It's on video, we can just watch it again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will also, when I email that information, I will provide a list of all the municipalities that your residents are currently working in
Okay,
and where they paid the tax in 2023, just so
Okay,
you
great.
have a point of
sure.
check.
Thank
Merry
you very much.
Christmas, happy holidays.
Hey, happy
Safe
holidays to
Merry
everyone.
Christmas.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. My way.
Thank you for your
You
time.
know what, it's, the fog is one thing, but then you about, trees of deer.
Oh, yeah.
Be safe and watch out for the deer too.
Yeah, that's what I just said, that's what I was concerned about.
Ed, we know why you're here.
You know what? Yeah.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Come on up.
Yeah, let's,
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Safe
Thank you.
travels.
Watch the steps too.
Yeah. I've been practicing my signature too, Ed.
Oh, thank you. If you remember last month, I submitted a subdivision application for Clinton Utah.
Yep.
Okay, the letter was sent off to the county for their review. The letter came back, they had no detrimental comments, so nothing's changed as it was submitted last month. Okay, good.
Where is it on?
Where's Bob?
This is the
You
subdivision.
take.
Yes.
This is property here. Lot 1 of the remaining lands.
Randy, you know where it is? You know where it is?
It's right across from you, right?
Right next to it.
Negative.
Across from, no, next to you.
No?
This is the top.
So the county said it to go,
Yep, did you get the letter?
so we just gotta vote on it.
Correct.
Let's, put a motion on the floor, please.
I make a motion that we allow the subdivision of the lands that was proposed by our, as proposed. For Clint Utah lands.
Jane made a motion?
Oh, wait a second, she didn't have a chance to write it down.
Oh, hang on one second,
Till
bathroom
she
break.
gets back,
Okay.
she all right?
So we should add this letter to our minutes, okay? It's a letter from Kristen Wasco of Wayne County Department of Planning, basically saying they have no detrimental comments regarding this proposed land subdivision. But that should be part of it.
So you should have a copy.
Yeah,
Already got it?
that's what was in the envelope.
So now.
No, I don't believe I have a copy of that.
You got it?
Yeah.
Yes.
May we have yours?
Whoever puts it in. Make a copy of it.
I may
What's
have
that?
given it, you know what, I may have given it to Joe,
Okay.
so is that,
Attorney
You should
File,
have, just have a copy for the minutes.
okay.
Oh, thanks. Jeez,
Good.
Yeah, Jane made a motion, we saw the motion on the floor. Any seconds?
Previously, she hasn't written it down.
Jumping the gun.
I made a motion. Thank you. Made a motion to allow the subdivision that takes land as proposed.
You have to stand up for it.
Land as proposed,
As proposed by Mr. Anthony. Surveyor.
Did somebody second it? Sorry.
I'll second it.
Jane made a motion, Shane seconded it, all in favor? Aye. Nays, abstention, motion passes.
One more time on the fees. I don't remember what it came up with last month.
I emailed you the fee list. Does somebody have a copy of the fee list?
Yeah, I have it in here, but I'll have to look for it. The fee list, we're looking for.
The fee list, yes.
Okay, while we're doing that, we've got Chastity Babcock. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Wonderful.
I'm Chastity Babcock, I'm just a citizen of the borough. I came tonight, to address a rumor going around town. I know you saw my Facebook post, there's been rumors going around town that the borough's considering getting rid of our police department. As a concerned citizen, and involved in EMS for over 20-some years, fire rescue is very important to this town. I believe you said there was 60-some calls in the borough this month that the police handled. So it seems like we do have a pretty active police force and that they are needed. As a concerned citizen, I would hate to see that our police force be disbanded or cut entirely or even partially. I feel safer in a town with a police force. I know there were comments made on Facebook that we didn't, what did we do? In the 90s, we didn't have a police force for a little bit?
Not true. We've always had at least one
Always had
officer.
one.
Just one, was it one? I was younger then, so I couldn't remember. But getting rid of a police department, I think, could be very bad for our community. I do feel that when people know police presence is around, whether it's full-time or part-time, it does help keep crime rates down. I'm actually glad this gentleman was speaking here tonight because for 20-some years I worked in Scranton and they took that wage tax from me that went to Scranton, and I said, well, geez, maybe that could go back to my municipality if we enforce that wage tax. I know nobody's a fan of increasing taxes, but if that tax is already being taken out of the majority of the people that live in town, the borough could consider maybe regaining that from these municipalities and bringing it back, and like they said, hopefully, like I said, you said the borough hasn't raised real estate taxes in 8 years, so we applaud you guys for that. It might be a way to even lower our taxes a little bit. I do realize it does increase taxes otherwise. I'm sure some people in the borough may or may not be in favor of even if there was a small tax to help the police or the emergency departments. It was rumored that they were going to cut funds, you guys were going to cut funds from even public works or road works. Again, that's part of our safety and health in town, so to take their money out of their budget could also impact us all greatly too in safety concerns, road and safety. So, I just wanted to bring out my opinion as a member of the town that if you are considering cutting the police, to please consider alternate routes too of safety, if that's an option. Have you considered other local police departments aiding us, because we all know that PSP is very taxed. They cut, I know state cuts have been made in the rumored to be in the state police, so how fast are they gonna be able to respond to emergency situations in town? So just take into consideration of, what that would mean to us here. We know that you guys have a very hard decision to make. It was rumored that even you guys were willing to give up your money and your pay to go to the police department. That's not really fair to you guys either.
One
you know.
council member already does.
Huh?
One
Okay.
council member already does.
Right, and that's not really fair to you guys either, because you guys service our community, and, you know, so if everybody decided to do that, you know, I know somebody said it was only $100, but still, it's your deserved money because you represent our town, so, you know, again, just as a concerned citizen, I would ask that before the police department be cut, that it's thoroughly investigated on other ways of bringing in revenue, or I don't know if there's state or federal grants out there. I haven't looked that up in a long time or been a part of any committees to do that, but, you know, we just hope that you would consider something before cutting it altogether. So
Mm-hmm.
that's just basically my opinion and my concern, so I
Thank
thank
you.
Yeah, I
Thank you for
your
your
time.
thoughts and concerns. Any questions, comments? So, I mean, I can touch on it a little bit. As we all know, taxes are permanent, budget cuts are temporary. Have we investigated every option? I would say so. Shelley Gogolski, I don't want to speak on behalf of her, but she is the business manager and also married to an accountant. So for the person watching our pennies, probably the best in Waymart. I would say that we investigated every inch of the budget, and we squeezed every penny we could. Like I said, budget cuts are temporary. That's why we brought this gentleman in to speak about other options. I thought it was a good presentation. There's other avenues. The grants that you asked about, I don't know. I'm sure Jane is the grant queen, so, but I don't know if anything like that is available.
Right.
I guess that's one avenue we haven't looked into. I don't know if the police force has either. But that is where we're at. The budget meeting that we had last week, right? That showed we have approximately $25,000 budget deficit for unforeseen circumstances. We haven't raised taxes in however long, I don't know. Again, taxes are permanent, budget cuts are temporary. So I can't say that enough. But have we evaluated every option of the budget? 100%. Shelley is the money lady. She's very, very good, very, very thorough. We all take this very, very seriously. Thank you for coming in and reading that letter. I know there's lots of concerns about, it is a very difficult decision. None of us take it lightly, but to balance the budget temporarily, it's probably what we're gonna have to do. So, not an easy decision. Nobody ever takes anything lightly here. I personally do not. But, yeah, if anybody else has anything else to say?
Comment. Did you ever hear of tax anticipation notes,
Sure.
which the borough can do if they wanted to do?
And that was
Through the
discussed.
Wayne Bank.
That was discussed
When?
at the budget meeting. You were there. I discussed the loan. I discussed, we
No,
all discussed that.
I asked, why don't we take a loan? This was.
And nobody else on council, that was discussed. I don't know if anybody else was here. I brought it up, and it wasn't an option.
That's your opinion, this wasn't an option, that's your opinion.
I'm one of seven.
Yeah.
Correct.
I didn't hear the
Nobody
same
else
vote.
had, nobody else had too
Nobody
much
else
good to say.
commented on it, but nobody said.
There was quite a few comments on it, yes, actually. It was Jane had a comment on it. I think several other people had a comment on taking the loan out.
I didn't have a problem with the loan. It actually helps the borough's credit. Shayna wasn't here.
Any other comments, thoughts on chassis? We've got a list of people to get through.
I just have one last thing.
Sure.
And I know that other, you know, you see on other municipalities' ballots. Have you ever thought of bringing it to the public to see, like, I mean, honestly, like, I know people don't wanna hear it, but if you told me, like, if the borough announced we have $100 a year increase on property taxes for protective services, I mean, I would never vote that down. You know, is that something you could bring to the community to feel like, what, you know, to vote on? Is that something the
Yeah,
community could
absolutely.
vote on?
Actually, if-
I'm sure a lot of people would be against that, but.
If the borough was to do a 1 mil increase, it would literally be $25 more on your tax bill.
Right.
And it doesn't have to go to the public.
And that's coming from DCED.
And it doesn't have to go to the public, it doesn't have to.
Exactly, it
You
would go
vote on
to
it, not
emergency
the public.
services.
People in town might be more receptive to that.
2
because
mils
you
would
guys
be
have
I
done-
would want the entire town to have a say in it.
Yeah,
I would want
no.
everybody to come in.
Right,
I
I-
promote people to come to these
Right,
borough
they
meetings
don't.
constantly, and look how many people are here.
Right.
Usually the same faces. That's it. No, everybody's busy, everybody has a life outside of it, but I would want everybody to have a say in that. I would wanna have a giant town hall and get everybody there, give them coffee and cookies, whatever, to try to get people there. Yes, I am a proponent of bringing everybody to the meetings, but nobody wants to come, so. Facebook helps out, you do see a lot of comments on Facebook, but that really doesn't help. We wanna see everybody here, and we wanna hear everybody's comments, and letters like that are great, and I appreciate it. Anything else for Chastity? Michelle Turquati. Thanks, Ed. We'll see you next month.
Thank you.
I don't wanna beat a dead horse, but I don't think everything, I really don't think we've done everything we could do, all right, to try to keep our police department here. I've been here for over 24 years. I've seen it when we didn't have police, a lot of police force. I've seen it when we have police force. I see the messages of we never see the police. I see the people that say, yes, we see the police. People who live here in town see our police department out. They know what they do. They know that they're here. The people that don't live within the borough or don't live right in town may not see them because they're here in town and they're on Route 6 and they're over by the mini market and they're here in town. But I don't think we've done enough. Yes, I know you're watching the budget. I know you have X amount of money to work with, but I still think we have to consider other things. If we haven't raised the taxes in 8 years and we're struggling this much now, every year is not gonna get better. It's only gonna get worse. So you're cutting taxes, you're cutting the police force down, their budget in half, according to your proposed budget. What are you gonna be next year? You're gonna cut them all out? You're gonna cut our fire department out when we can't keep them here? We need to know as a borough that you're doing the best that you can do for us on bringing income back into here. I don't wanna pay more taxes, but if I have to pay more taxes, so be it, because everybody else does. I think as a borough, we need to decide what we're going to do and how we're gonna start bringing more income back into our community, because what we have now is not going to sustain us for X amount of years. Okay, we're building a ball field. How are we gonna pay for the electric for that? How are we gonna pay for everything else? Once that's built, and that electric's up there, how are we gonna pay for that? What are we gonna cut to pay for that? Okay, I'm not gonna beat a dead horse, but I think we need to do more. I think we need to consider doing more for our community and not just cutting, because we need to bring more money into this community, not keep it at a standstill, because we're not gonna have a community, we're not gonna have a borough, we're not gonna have what we have here when we have no money to do anything. Okay, that's all I have to say on that. The other thing that I have to say is Friday night, Waymart Parties in the Park will be doing Santa and the tree lighting. It's gonna be at 6 o'clock. Santa will be coming around, the kids will be able to see Santa, and we'll have hot cocoa and refreshments and stuff in the park. Okay?
Thank you, Michelle.
You're welcome. Thank you.
One thing I'd say is the police, or the fire department, we don't fund, the borough doesn't fund the fire department.
It's not that it's not that you don't support them, you
I mean-
can't, no, financially, you can't support them, and they're here for our community, so.
Well, they're volunteer, but,
They are
let's see if we cover
volunteer.
their insurance.
We did a lot for them last year.
Oh, yeah, we sure did.
I'm
We certainly.
well aware of what was done,
Mhm.
and I'm not saying that we
Second,
don't,
again,
but,
taxes are permanent, budget cuts are temporary.
but if we
so-
don't have the money now, if we're not bringing money into the community and we're not bringing money back into the borough, this temporary budget cut is not gonna be a temporary budget cut. It's gonna be a permanent budget cut because we're not bringing the income back in to replace what you're cutting. That's what I'm saying. You've got to find a way to bring
Yeah.
more money back into the borough to support the stuff that we have here. Why are we spending all our money on this ball field?
That's a grant,
It's-
100%
yeah,
grant
It's 100% grant while
Right.
we're building it.
correct.
But what's gonna happen once the grant's done and
We
we have
already
to pay
maintain
for it?
We already maintain it. There'll be a light bill, but, I mean, come on.
But you're
it's-
increasing.
Those lights, I work with a lady that had a lot to do with the softball and baseball teams in Scranton. Same kind of lights. They told me, flip of the switch, one light, $500.
I can't imagine that.
That's not
I don't know, though. I'm not saying that.
But as I'm saying, you're not finding a way to bring income into the community. We
That's
have
why
to
we just
find a
had the
way.
tax people here, which I'm 100% against taxes. I don't like taxes, nobody likes taxes, but if it's a way to generate some income, sure.
But also
Maybe we
your,
can consider
but
it,
also
but
your
it's something I
comment
want the
was,
whole town to come in.
you would only consider
on.
it if you could lower the mills, or if you could lower your taxes.
Correct.
Well, that might not be an option. You know, it might not be
I'm
an
one of
option.
7, I'm one of 7
I get
votes.
that you're one of 7, I've been
And-
there.
And that's where I stand.
I've been there, but I get that you're one of 7, but we also have to find a way to bring income back in. Maybe one of 7 doesn't agree with it, but we gotta find income to bring back into our community, to support our community, not just the cuts. Because, let's face it, I know what's in that budget, there's not a lot to work with. We don't get money from the prisons, we don't get money from the schools. What do we get money from? We only have, what, $225,000 for a year in our budget? We gotta find a way to bring more into here, to increase that, so we can guarantee our protection, we can guarantee if the fire company needs help, you're here to help them out. If that ball field, and we're having ball games and everything, and that electric bill goes up, we have the money to pay for that.
Right, I'm one of 7, I'm one of 1,200 people in the town, so Facebook people, if you're listening, please
Yeah.
chime in. I would love everybody that not on Facebook, come to the meetings and voice your opinions. You're one of 1,200 people. They're for it. I mean,
And that's why I'm here.
I don't know where the rest of the council sits, nobody is saying anything, but, thank you for reading the letter. I want people to come in, Facebook people, I want you to come in, I want people to come in and voice their concerns. It's the only way we know what to do. I mean, we make the best decisions we know with the information that we're given. So, and there's 4 seats up in 2025, so put your hats in the ringer. Anything else, Michelle? Any other questions for Michelle? Anything, any council members have any questions, anything to say at all? Okay,
Oh, wait, can I add one more thing?
sure.
Is it a potential, if our police department is mutual aid to all these other communities, the Waymart area, and not just the borough, is it a potential that these other areas would pay to help support our police department, since they are helping those, departments out? You know, you've got South Canyon, you've got Clinton, you've got all these other municipalities where we go when they're called. Is that
Is
an
that a
option?
thing?
Yes, it is a thing, it's called a joint agreement.
We'll do that.
And I know that there are citizens in Canaan Township that would gladly like our police to be patrolling there.
Could we consider looking into something like that also?
It's not something that
They want protection.
they would do a study. A study would be done, this is also through DCED, so we would not have to pay for the study would be done, they would contact the supervisors or whoever they need to check with in that township, and they would put a referendum on their ballot so that the community would vote on it. It would not be a township supervisor decision, it would be a community decision.
So
But
it
if
should-
we want to do something like that, we need to get in touch with DCED, and they would take care of it for us.
Did they do it with Carbondale and Simpson, Fell?
Yes, I believe Carbondale is
Fell Township.
Fell Township, yes.
Like Holly
And
has,
then-
Holly has Palmyra Township,
And in turn,
and there's some.
they would pay us for the services of our police.
And that may be an option. Is
We,
that
we
something
have,
we can look
we've
into?
approached Canaan probably in my lifetime at least
But it's-
5 times.
It's not up to us to approach them, it goes through DCED. They do the study, they put the referendum on the ballot. It's not borough against township deciding, it's the state.
Can the
They take care of it.
can the supervisors overrule?
I'm not
Can they
sure,
say
I
no?
didn't ask that question, I'm sorry.
I'd be surprised if the state can come in and force
But they
them
put
to pay
a
for
ref,
police
well,
department.
they would put a referendum on the ballot.
Right.
So it would
The
be up
people would
to
vote for
the
it.
people, not up to,
They already have coverage from the state police, right?
they do,
Same
but
as we have.
I find
Do
it
it
hard to
like-
believe
we're
that
right
they
here
would
to
pay
make a
for
phone
something
call.
that they already have.
I don't disagree with it, but you're not, the police will be working more, so you're not really getting more money.
but they're paying for it, not
They're
us.
paying
They would be
for
They
that.
would be
contributing
giving, they
towards
would be
their,
contributing
they
to
would be
us.
contributing towards them, so we wouldn't be footing the entire bill.
Yes.
Okay, it's another good idea. I don't wanna get hung up on it.
So if they're working, say they're working 4 hours in a night, and they put 2 hours into the borough and 2 hours into Canaan Township, we're only paying 2 hours. Canaan Township would be paying the other
The
2.
other two, that's why, you're not getting money.
There's so many hypotheticals to this, we're just gonna get caught up in this and we're gonna beat a dead horse, but if it's something you wanna investigate, bring it to the table. Anybody can bring it to the
Okay,
table.
I will check
we
into it
can-
further then.
We can talk about this all night. Anything else, Michelle?
No, thank you, Shane.
Okay. Mrs. Langendorf, or C. Langendorf.
Yeah, I wasn't all fitting. So you said budget cuts are temporary.
Correct.
Okay, I've been running a budget for a few years, they're never temporary. They're always permanent, because there's no more money coming in. You work overtime, you get a better job, you tax the local people. What was that number? There's 519, and of them, 372 are already being taxed. So you're gonna keep $104,000 out of the borough for 100.
We're not saying we're doing anything right now. This is the first time I've ever heard anything from Borough
You
Highway
said
Association.
you
heard
wouldn't
it
do
along with
this,
myself.
you said you wouldn't do this unless we could reduce the millage.
Me, one of 7. Me, one of 1,200 other residents in Waymart. Correct. That's where I'm staying. Facebook people, I'm saying that. Yes.
So what's our current millage?
2.7.
2.7.
Current millage is 2.71, which, there is this 1.31 goes to street lighting, so that money can't
Okay,
be touched.
that can't be
That's for the
touched.
street lights.
Okay.
So basically, you're paying 2.4.
Okay, so while the budget's cut, what do we think's gonna happen to all those police officers that when we do change the budget and there's more money, are they still gonna be available?
Probably not, because we're the lowest paid.
Yeah, it's all hypothetical.
No, that's not hypothetical, that's flat out. Are they going to be available? The answer's more
I
than
can't
likely
answer
no.
that question. You
So
know,
you're the money
I don't have
lady.
my crystal ball.
You're the money lady. So what can we do with an extra $100,000 a year?
Pay Rich Henry.
Yeah, see, that's the
Right.
problem, like Shane keeps saying, it's temporary. The biggest hangup that we have this year with this budget is legal fees. We have a couple legal issues out there that we're dealing with, and we don't know how much we're gonna spend. We're expecting that hopefully to end by next year, which in the following year, hopefully we could regain and we could go back to where we were. I've been the treasurer for like, I don't know, 20 years now, you know, quite a bit of years. We've never had any issues up until this year. This is like an exception, you know, so you can't say that, I mean, it could happen in 2 years from now, but chances are it's not going to. And as the years go on, as the year goes on next year, if there's extra money in the budget, who knows? I mean, maybe we can do a budget revision, you know.
But there's no cushion
There's revisions.
whatsoever. I mean, I know what my budget looks like from year to year, and if we don't get pay raises, we're out of luck. Our budget gets cut.
But we've sustained, I mean, we've done very well without raising taxes, without having a local tax. We've done very well in this borough, and we've managed to keep things. We're not getting rid of the police department. This council wants the police department to stay. It's just, we have to cut the hours.
Okay, you have four police officers, and you're gonna cut their budget down to $32,000. Tell me, how much are we gonna see them? How many hours are you gonna see them
Well, they have
working?
full-time jobs. All
No,
the
that's, I
police
don't care about their
officers-
full-time jobs. I said, you're gonna cut their budget down to $32,000. You've got 4 police officers. How many hours are you gonna see them out there in the public?
Well,
The normal
okay.
person, poverty level is $20,000,
Going
you know,
back
I mean,
to-
come on.
They have full-time jobs, but going
They
back
have
to
full-time
that
jobs
again,
now.
going back to that again, when we had 2 police officers, we cut winter hours. They did not work in the winter. How did the borough survive back then?
They worked in the winter.
They
You cut.
didn't, they did not. I was
No,
here,
Jane.
does anyone remember that? Did they work in the winter?
No,
No.
they didn't.
Right.
Anyway, I don't wanna make this an argument. I appreciate you guys coming in. Mrs. Langendorf, if you have more, please.
Can I say something?
Before-
No, I'm good, I'm done.
Can I say something?
Sure.
You know, ever since they put the Casey Highway in, Waymart's just not the sleepy little town that hasn't changed in 150 years. It's developing, okay? Just in the past 6 months, somebody wants to put a drug rehab in. Somebody wants to put manufacturing in the old grocery store. Somebody wants to put a solar farm in. That's just in the last 6 months. So unfortunately, they wanna put everything in places that it's not zoned for, so the borough has to fight it. You know, Rich Henry has some extensive legal fees. It's obviously worth it, all right? The judge just ruled in our favor that the drug rehab doesn't belong over there. That's not what it's zoned for. But you have to defend it. So whenever there's gonna be development, there's gonna be legal issues with it. So that's where the chunk of this money went, right? Was to the unexpected legal cost, but it should be expected. You should expect that people are gonna wanna put more things here. It's a great place to live. I call it the nicest little town in America. Who wouldn't wanna live here? They also wanna bring jobs here. 20 years ago, we would have been thrilled if somebody was bringing jobs here. My family, my father and all his brothers had to leave northeastern Pennsylvania just to get a job back in the early 60s. Up until about 10 years ago, it was like that for 50 years. You couldn't get a job around here. The average income in Wayne County was $10 an hour. Well, now they can't find people to work. People want to put industry here. We just don't want it, you know? At least not in the place it's not zoned for. So nobody likes change. But we're not the sleepy little town that we were. We're just not. People want to develop things and we got to deal with it. So how you going to pay for it? Nobody likes an increase in taxes, but maybe that's the way to do it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Shelley. Thanks, Ms. Langendorfer. Thanks, Michelle. Next, Anna Morton.
Hello, everybody. I'm here to let everybody know about this building that I live in that completely needs to be demolished and torn down. I have done my own mold tests in this building in my apartment alone, which is all the way upstairs on the 3rd floor. And I believe it's very hazardous, not only to my children and myself, but any other children and adults living in this apartment as well as anybody
Please tell them
around.
where you live.
I am at 139 South Street.
Okay.
Which one's that?
It is the old drugstore.
The old drugstore.
Oh, yeah.
And the garbage out there in front, I was ashamed last night.
My landlord is a complete slumlord. His name is Michael Banfield. He stays out in New Jersey. He is never around. He hires handymen and says he does not need to hire professionals to do anything. I'm on housing for Section 8 right now, and that is why me and my children are in that apartment, because housing is so scarce around here, we can't find anything. So housing has demanded Michael Banfield to place us somewhere away from this mold and have remediation done immediately. He's ignoring us and refusing. So my 15-year-old started developing seizures, and I believe it's because of this black mold. In one room alone in that house, there is 6 different types of mold in one room. Everywhere in that house, every test that I took, every 6 one of these tests has black mold on it. I guarantee you, my son's neurologist and his doctors are going to agree with me that the black mold is what's giving him an allergic reaction to start seizures, because there's no seizures on my side of the family or his father's side. So I don't like this, and I don't want anybody else harmed with mold, because it's probably not a serious situation for like commonly, but it's serious to me when it's affecting my children and my health. So I just wanted to let everybody know, and what your thoughts would be on something. I wish the zone officer was here, because I thought he would be, but he's not.
Have you talked to Joe?
I have left him several messages without no replies.
Joe Eunice?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'll touch base.
So I just wanted to have some input in what to do, because it's very difficult with the stress level that I'm having being a single mom and this happening when I don't have the means to just up and leave like everybody on Facebook tries to tell me to do. Just move. Like, how? I'm on housing and I can't afford anything, so how am I supposed to just move? So I don't know exactly what to do, but I know that, like she said, that the trash all out there and everything, I've complained and told him, you're going to get fined for this if you don't clean up your mess. He starts having his workers, when the trash gets taken out of the dumpster, throw everything that's on the side back in there, to where the people that live there can't even put our trash in there. So I'm at a loss. I really don't know what to do at this point.
So our borough ordinances aren't gonna give you any relief, because the remedy is to vacate the building. So Joe Eunice has the power to do it under section 6702, dangerous structures. Unsafe, essential to decent living, unfit for human habitation, or likely to cause sickness or disease. Health, safety, general welfare of those living there. So the remedy is, if the dangerous building is in such condition as to make it dangerous to the health, safety, or general welfare of its occupants or the public, and is so placarded, it shall be ordered to be vacated within such length of time not exceeding 30 days as is reasonable. dangerous building can reasonably be repaired so that it will no longer exist in violation of the terms of this chapter, it shall be ordered to be repaired. So it can be determined to be unfit for human habitation.
But who can determine that?
Joe Humans.
Okay.
Do you have Joe's cell?
Yes, I have it all written down and everything. I try to call him at least
You left
3
letter
times a
back
week.
there for him too.
Oh,
Does
does it have your information on that letter? Your cell number and obviously your address?
I think so, yeah.
I'll double check.
Yeah, cause I've tried to reach out to everybody that I possibly could. I know Teresa told me to come to the meeting. I called Mayor, he told me to come to the meeting to speak my piece, and I'm trying to do everything I possibly can to fight this. I already have a lawsuit on my hands from this landlord being so negligent and my child getting sick. There's other kids that just moved into that building too, and I'm so scared that everybody's gonna get some sort of side effect going on from this mold, because it can't be in just my apartment. It has to be in that whole building, because there's been several leaks since I've been there. I've been there almost 2 years now. There's been several leaks. The handymen don't do nothing but change out a ceiling tile and call it a day. They don't dry nothing, they don't change nothing out, they just, you know, they halfway do it, and because the landlord refuses to pay anybody or have a professional come in there. So I read and did my research that that building was put up in 1900. So there's no way that it's gonna be perfect, I get that. But I expected it to at least be livable, especially for the sake of my children and the other human beings in there.
What does the Wayne County Housing Authority say?
I spoke to them, and I requested a mold test to be done back in September, and they refused, because the landlord said he didn't see any mold, so it's not there. I said, this isn't an out of sight, out of mind thing. If something's happening, you know, and I'm speaking up about it, they should honor it, but they wouldn't. So I bought my own test and did it myself. And all 6 tests in here show all the mold in that house, in that apartment. So housing finally agreed after I did this myself. They contacted the affordable inspections that they go through to have come out to do the inspections. They said they didn't have to come out to do a second test, that what I had was efficient enough to prove that there was mold in my building.
So what does the Wayne County Housing Authority suggest you do?
They sent a letter to the landlord yesterday stating that he has to pay to place me and my family elsewhere while remediation is going on. But the landlord is refusing to do so. So I asked if the lease could be broken and I could just find somewhere else to go, which is still hard for me to do. I'm trying to find somewhere, like I've been looking every single day, but it's hard because of the budget.
That's part of their mission, is to find you a place to live.
Well, they don't do it. Housing has gotten extremely lazy, and they say that it's up to us to speak to the landlords, to call who we need to negotiate and make it happen if we want to live in a place. They don't do any of the work.
Unfortunately, your remedy is just to leave. If your kids are damaged as a result of it, then you have a second remedy to sue. But we definitely have something in our ordinance here that should be enforced. Joe Humans can go there and you can declare that whole place unsafe.
Yeah, I mean, there's standstill.
But you're all gonna be homeless. So-
See, they're CYS for a reason, they can help with my children, but I'm just stating for everybody else's safety and everything too. I mean, there's standstill water in the basement, that can't be healthy either, can it?
Well, there's a lot of water in a lot of basements. You mentioned it was built in 1900. I think every building in the town was built in 1900 or
And they're by
thereabouts.
the creek too.
So,
Yeah, so it's just been like, it's been an ongoing battle with this landlord, and he's failed inspection quite a few times, so
okay.
it's just harder for me to just up and leave when
So
I don't have the
this-
funds to do so.
This should be referred immediately to Joe Humans.
I'll be sure to reach out to him. Thanks, Hannah. It's the first time you heard about it, but I'll give him a call.
I appreciate it so much, I just wanted to be heard, so y'all are aware of the
Did you try
situation.
Hannah, Teresa, if you knew about this? Did you talk to
I had spoke, the day before yesterday,
Oh,
and I
okay.
had said, come to the meeting.
Okay, I'll reach out to Joe. Thanks.
Thank you.
He
Yeah.
wants to be heard.
I just wanna say one thing, I agree with what she's saying, cause I'm really good friends with little Davey that lived there, and I've been in his apartment a few times, it's disgusting. It was full of fleas and everything, it really was.
Okay.
He's sick, and he's sick, he went up to
Yeah, he's
therapy,
up
but
there.
he's
He got
still,
out.
he's still
Yeah.
sick.
Yeah, Davey and I are pretty good buddies, I know what he wants
Yeah,
to do.
he's a sweetheart.
But the solicitor's correct, the only thing
He's our
to
assistant,
do is to move
He's a
on.
sweetheart.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thinking
Yeah,
Jenny
we-
is not getting any income anymore, maybe
But I
I'll do
thought it
something.
was the authority of the Wayne County Authority
think there's a shortage of places to live.
I don't
That's
know.
the problem. I think there's a 1-year waiting list.
I'll give Joe a call, I'll reach out to him tonight, and, be sure to get him over there. That's it for guests and citizens, anybody else? No? Fire company report, Teresa, we'll bounce back to you quick, get that over.
They had 44 calls for November. They'll be around Friday for the tree lighting. The 22nd is the Christmas raffle, and Santa will also be there. And Chief wants everyone to know that they appreciate the support and positivity after this past week. He said thank you, and any questions, please reach out.
It was a wonderful party too.
Thankfully, we have 2 firefighters that were uninjured after an accident.
Oh, with the tank truck.
Yeah.
How about the report for the ambulance?
And I have another letter, I'm sorry, under correspondence. This is, if I can recall, we've received this every year, the Corrections Emergency Preparedness Policy. It is necessary for us to review our mutual aid agreements. This is from the Department of Corrections, State Correction. The attached letter of intent meets your approval. Please sign and return the document in the enclosed postpaid envelope. I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for your support and assistance in the past and look forward to continued alliance in the future. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact SEI's Waymart's Critical Incident Manager, Lieutenant Dennis Cush. This is signed by Mark Wall, who is the superintendent. If I can recall, we did this last year. It is an agreement that, if anything were to happen, is how you explained it last year.
Yeah, right.
If there was an emergency and they needed facilities, they could use facilities.
It's done every year.
It's done every year. So I will take care of that. And I do have
We have to pass a motion, I think, to do that.
is a motion, I don't,
Sure.
Okay. All right. So it would be a motion to,
Mutual aid agreement with the SCI Waymart.
okay.
I so move.
Motion on the floor. By Jane, seconded by Randy, all in favor? Aye. Nays, abstentions, motion passes. Thank you, Heather. Anything else?
Sorry, Jane gave me the fire, the ambulance.
Oh, I just happened to look at comments. Christopher Hahn, who is in Canaan Township, would have absolutely no problem with Waymart PD sitting in his driveway patrolling.
All right,
Yes.
so for the ambulance response for the month of November, there were 65 dispatches, 43 responses, and 21 calls were in the Waymart Borough, 3 going to mutual assistance.
Excellent. Thanks, Heather. Committee reports. Jane,
Well,
take
actually,
it away.
I have nothing to report.
Come on.
And and you all don't believe that, yeah.
That's the first in how many years? 50?
I'm glad it's
That
recorded.
2 inches of rain just turned to snow.
Everything is the same as it was last month. We're sort of in hiatus right now, so.
Wow, okay. Speechless.
Status quo.
Uh, Streets and roads, the
That was budget finance.
budget, finance, joking.
Okay, well, we pretty much went over the budget already, so I'm gonna go to liquid fuels. Okay, so part of the budget that we were going to cut was streets and roads. According to liquid fuels, payment of road employee wages for working on the municipality road structures and road equipment are permissible. You can pay their wages out of liquid fuels if you have a time clock and they document what streets and roads they are on. That brings $15,000 back to the regular budget because it can be taken out of streets, out of liquid fuels. If everybody's okay with that, I am donating a time clock to the borough. It has new ink tape. Time cards will be here on Sunday, and so that no one feels singled out, I think we should have every employee that is hourly paid punched with the time clock.
I agree 100,000%.
Sure.
But it does bring 15,000 back into the budget, because you're now taking it out of liquid fuels.
Any thoughts, questions, concerns? Or
That's wonderful, we
Teresa?
got that. I'm like, I've been trying to.
It works, battery backup
For
works.
10 years, I've been trying to get a time clock in here.
so we would have to put that in a centralized location, I guess, or would we just get it built?
Well, you-
Oh, you mean for the
Well, for everybody, if we're gonna do everybody, then do we put one here?
In the
and one
garage.
Down to the garage?
They could.
I think they could go to
clean
the
the
garage
sidewalks.
or come here.
Yeah,
Yeah, they can come here.
Either way. But it cost me a whole $15. Here, pass it on.
That's wonderful.
Thank you, Teresa.
You're welcome.
yep, sure.
But each one of the employees, the hourly employees have to be told that they have to do this.
Yes, I will have time cards, I'll have them in the mail on, I believe they'll be delivered on Sunday. But the time cards I'm also donating for now, there's, I think, 100 or 200 of them, so. It's a brand new ink ribbon. The other ink ribbon, I left it at home, but there's 2 ink ribbons, they should last quite a while.
Mr. Farrell, do you think that there should be something, on record,
a motion.
a motion concerning?
Just to use a time clock?
Yes,
Out.
because
Motion it out.
they come back and say,
Well, we're not singling anybody out, it's all hourly employees will now use a time clock.
That'll help.
That way nobody's saying
That'll
this one's doing
And
that.
then when in doubt, make a motion.
That's
well,
right, let it down,
adopting it, I guess what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Yeah, but, I mean, is it a big deal, because nobody's lying about their hours, right? So it's just a way of, they're keeping track of their hours, right?
And
So-
being able to pay wages out of liquid fuels instead of
That's like
budget.
saying,
I
that's
think
like
that's
saying
the
we're gonna
value.
make a motion to use pens instead of pencils, I mean, you don't have to.
So are there any other stipulations? in
The
order to
only
use-
other stipulation is Roadworks has to document what they're doing, that's it. I worked on Honesdale Road from one till 2 o'clock. Or I snowplowed from 2:30 until 4:30. It's just simple.
Is this a big deal, just implementing
It's
time?
So,
simple.
I guess one comment I would make, so liquid fuels is the monies we receive from the state, it goes by the miles of road, however they calculate, I don't know. But that's also the money that we use for borough roads, not only, plowing and cindering, what have you, but also paving, patching, chipping, any, money, that's where the money typically
Which
comes
we
from.
can,
That's the
which
only
we can
money
get
we have.
matching grants for. If we have
Right.
30,000 in the budget to pave, chip, do whatever, we can get a matching grant to go with that
If you get,
30,000.
if you
Or,
qualify for the
or
grant,
the
you can get.
time clock could be temporary.
Yeah. Temporary.
Is that serious? Is that joking? I don't
That's
understand.
serious. It doesn't
I don't
have
understand
Yeah,
that comment.
that could be,
Okay.
It doesn't have to be permanent.
I'm just saying
Well,
that the
nothing's
liquid
permanent.
fuels money is
It could be
what we
temporary
use for
until,
paving, and we didn't do a road paving
it
program.
could be temporary until you find other income sources to bring into the borough.
Well, I personally, as a taxpayer in Waymart, I don't have a problem, don't think anybody should have a problem with the time clock. I was
Exactly.
15 years old and worked at Key Lake
I
and
worked,
had a time clock.
I went to time clock
So,
every
I mean, like, that's.
I can't
kind
believe
of-
there's never been one before now.
Yeah,
And I worked at Hawley Borough, and we had a time clock
yeah.
all the time, we had to.
This is my
and we
third,
had-
this is going into my 3rd year, we've been talking about a time clock for the last
I punch a
3
time
years.
clock every day, if I don't punch the time clock, I don't get paid.
I get a time
That's
clock.
right. That's
Alright, so
right.
let's make a motion to get this time clock out of the way.
Okay, no, I was just gonna say, the budget, we had 15,000 for public works. We've went down to 10,
Mm-hmm.
so it would be $10,000 that would be.
So either way, it's still money going back into the budget.
Yeah, but I just wanted to clarify that, it's on the budget, but that's it.
Okay,
Yeah, still some.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor from Jane, seconded by Randy.
Yeah.
All in favor for the time clock initiation?
Aye.
Aye. Nays, abstentions, motion passes to move forward with the time clock. Anything else, Teresa?
We
Well,
already
the budget's
discussed
under
everything
you.
else.
Well, the budget's under you, so you, a motion for the budget, to adopt the budget.
We can't.
We can't.
There's nothing on here that says make a motion to vote. We can't vote on the budget.
And not only that, we can only vote on.
That's what it says, 2025 borough budget, that's for the motion.
But it's gotta say make a motion to vote,
It's make a motion to advertise it, folks,
and it has to be advertised
Okay.
as well.
and then we have to set up a special meeting.
Okay, I'm sorry, you're right.
But personally, and I'm, like Shane says, one of 7, I think we need to,
I'm sorry, I was under the impression that you told me tonight you were voting on the budget.
no.
Okay.
No, Jane's right, yeah.
It has to be
yeah.
advertised.
Um,
I'm in error, I was wrong about that.
I feel that we need to have another workshop to go over this budget, because we did not go line for line like we've always gone over the budget. We picked a couple different things out of the budget and said, we're gonna do this in half, we're gonna cut this. We did not go line for line. A couple questions I've had. There's street maintenance supplies, there's public works, tools, equipment repair, public works, tools, equipment. That right there is $250, $1,000. What do all those different lines mean? Everything to me seems to be all the same. Tools, equipment repair. Why isn't it all bundled into one? And why so much? Why $1,000?
Well,
Why
the state gives you those numbers,
Yeah, it's a
and like 410,
So
400.
street maintenance supplies, what is different from that line as in public works, tools, equipment repair, public works, tools, equipment?
It's,
It all sounds like the same stuff to me.
yeah, it's identified differently in the chart account descriptions.
Another one is there electric in the park?
Yes.
And it's still $1,400? Okay. But either way, we still didn't go line for line. We just said, let's do this. The last time I did the budget, when I was on council, we went line for line.
That's right.
Folks, when you do the budget, just remember, you might be looking at more legal fees for the old grocery store, if they wanna turn that into manufacturing, because it's not zoned for it.
Mhm.
And I'd really like my EIT tax to come back to the borough. $104,000.
Pay for legal fees, if not anything else.
Anything else?
Have we heard anything back from Alarin about the bill that was sent?
Nothing,
So there was just one bill that was sent, correct?
yes. I
Okay,
asked
can
if I
we-
should send a second and nobody answered me, so
Can we,
I did not send a second.
can we send a second one and start putting interest charges on it? Certified?
And send all the letters you want.
But I mean,
They could ignore all of them too.
correct, but we can start adding interest, correct? Or do they need to,
Is that authorized?
or do they need to, like if we send a second one, do you give them a warning that there's going to be interest charges?
You could, but I don't know that it's authorized in
That's right.
our ordinances, it's gotta be
It's not in the
authorized, you can't do anything that's not,
Okay. Well, either way, can we send a second one certified with the correct photo?
Second bill.
Because I imagine it's a little bit higher, isn't it, Shelley?
Yeah, probably 2 months worth. Get you those figures.
Okay.
So if we're not going to do anything with budget, then if you wanna have another meeting with the budget meeting, then we need to set up another budget meeting tonight.
We're really under the
Oh.
Yeah, we're under the wire, so it's gotta be soon.
It's gotta be
It's gotta
very
be
soon.
advertised, it's gotta be
And then it has
advertised
to be
twice.
advertised so many days.
Yeah.
And plus the fact then we'll have to have a special meeting just to adopt it.
Mhm.
So it is December 10th. The earliest it would probably be advertised would be the 14th and the 17th.
For the second workshop, correct?
The second workshop.
The 17th.
No,
No,
it
advertised.
has to be advertised twice.
Oh, okay.
They only advertise on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And so it's too late now to get it in for Thursday. The earliest you could have it in would be the 14th, to advertise on the 14th, advertise on the 17th. So the earliest you could have it would be after the 17th.
So the 18th or the 19th.
Okay, any questions, thoughts, concerns, 18th, 6:30? Is that good with everybody?
Yes.
What's that?
It's a
It's
Wednesday.
a Wednesday. 18th at 6:30.
If I run into any issues advertising, I will let you know.
Thank you.
Okay, Teresa, anything else?
And the solar thing is the 21st, right?
Of January.
Oh, January, okay.
No, I think that's it. I took longer than Jane did. I'm sorry.
Do you wanna, while you're all here though, do you wanna set a date before January? When does the budget have to be approved?
By the
Because-
31st, it has
Of
to be
December.
approved. We can have New Year's celebration right here.
So, while you're all here, set a date, cause that also has to be advertised.
That's right.
Wanna go with the 30th?
Sure, yeah, okay. Does
Same
anybody else?
time?
Anybody? Thoughts?
I don't have my schedule here. I know there's a lot of parties.
It's a Monday, that's a Monday.
And that's the meeting to vote. Correct?
And that's all we should have to do is just, it should be a very short meeting, as long as we have 4 people here.
Right.
What time?
6:30?
6:30?
Same time.
Okay.
It seems to me I have something else on that paper.
Does anybody know offhand, does that need to be advertised twice as well?
I don't know.
I'm just, I'll do it, just to be safe.
Mhm.
Could we advertise it in another paper instead of the Tri-County?
As long as it's green paper.
Times, it's a lot more
The
It's
expensive.
a lot more money.
The Forest City is the cheapest, and they're out once a week.
But how many people in Waymart get Forest City?
Forest
I mean, we do, but
But
Yeah,
how
let's
many
just-
people give the Tri-County?
So just put it on the same advertisement that you're doing for the workshop. Workshop on that date and the budget
Doesn't
approval.
matter.
yeah.
For Wayne.
They count it by word, so it's gonna end up costing the same. I mean, you might save some money advertising it, but if you're advertising them on different dates, I mean, advertising on the same day would save some money, but it's gonna cost still.
Yeah. just
They
do
they
another
count by
thing.
letters.
I know what
Yeah, regardless,
I know
it's a
you're
good
not saying
thought.
the right words.
Just do another.
But yeah, so they can be advertised in the same notice.
Mhm.
Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, that's a good idea.
Okay,
All right, so can I just verify these
Yes.
dates? Budget workshop on December 18th, 6:30, and budget approval, tentative 2025 budget approval would be December 30th at 6:30.
correct.
okay. Teresa, anything else?
Thank you.
No, that's it.
Streets and roads, me, I guess really the only thing is the material shed, obviously isn't done yet, paving season's kind of coming to an end. I don't think they're gonna get to that till the spring, but I don't think that really matters.
It's this festival.
Parks and Rec,
Michelle already talked about, Santa coming to the park on Friday, so that's all I have.
utilities done. Safety Darren, not here. Purchasing and building, Andy. Unfinished business, solar speed.
I'm sorry, Shane, 1 second. Michelle's letting me know that the clock in the park is not working.
Oh,
So we have to get somebody to come to look at that.
The switch is probably flipped from the power outage. It just needs to be turned back on at 10 after 12. Willing to do it if somebody unlocks that box. I
Is
don't
that
have a key
breaker?
anymore, yeah.
oh,
It's in the breaker box.
oh, okay.
We just need to unlock the breaker box. I'll go out at 10 after 12 and flip that
Somebody
switch.
really needs to get a hold of you, Jane. Take it.
I don't wanna talk to him.
Okay.
Good news.
Oh, boy.
You can put it in Nora.
Jane, you're excused. You can talk to me. Throw him on speaker.
Bring it
Just turn your ringer off.
Elon Musk,
Do you want me to turn your ringer off?
Solar speed radar signs, unfinished business.
Okay.
I had contacted, his name's Scott, I can't remember his last name, but he in turn sent the email to a girl who called me back, and she's trying to figure out which office is supposed to be in touch with me. So they're not forgotten, I'm still working on them, I'm just waiting for them to call me back.
Okay. What's the next thing? Is that you two? Resolution concerning international?
Yeah, I don't think we're ready to enact this yet. I have to meet with Joe. This is gonna replace certain parts of our current ordinance.
Okay.
So we need to go through and see what's being replaced, cause that needs to be part of the ordinance. Okay, did everybody read it? Did
Some
of
anybody,
it, yes.
did anybody read it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I read it every night.
I did send I sent the email.
Okay, so everybody
If
should
you
read
need
it.
an updated email, I'll send it to you again.
To see that you want to enact it, just remember more regulations, more legal fees, more taxes. So everybody should read it. It's not that long, but it addresses safety issues like that, even though they're already addressed. We have a lot of it addressed already in our ordinances, so take a look at it. But Joe Eunice is definitely gonna have to be a part of going through, seeing what's consistent, seeing what's being replaced, okay? But this is not, I don't even think this will be ready next month. It's something that needs to be worked on, and everybody needs to read it so that you know whether you're gonna vote for it or vote against it to enact it.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Teresa. New business, down tree. We talked about that. And now, folks,
are we ever gonna get rid of that machine, or what are we gonna do with it?
does anybody want an old printer that doesn't work?
Take it to the recycling.
Yeah, we'll get rid of it. We are gonna break for an executive session now, and then we're going to.
The solar panels, do we wanna make sure
Oh.
that the next hearing is
So,
announced?
yeah, do you wanna announce that? Go ahead, or?
Oh, go ahead. I was hoping you were gonna do it, Heather, and we wanna make sure it's advertised, posted here, posted on the property.
Did you see my email that I sent for confirmation of wording?
No.
Okay, cause I have the advertisement ready to go, but I sent it to you for confirmation.
I'll take a look at it.
So right now, the, continuance for the conditional use hearing for the 198 Belmont Turnpike property is January 21st at 5:15? Is that, was it 5:15, Chris? Or 5:30?
I don't read, well, as I'm sitting here.
It's either 5:15 or 5:30.
Here.
Here, yes. Yes. I sent it to your office.
Is that the last one?
We don't
It's a
know.
continuance
It's a
from
continuance from the
the
first
last
one.
one.
Fingers crossed.
So just remember, if anybody on Borough Council isn't there, you're not gonna be able to vote on the issue. You're acting as judge in this, so you have to be there to hear all of the evidence, okay?
Okay, so now you guys are more than welcome to stay and hang out, talk amongst yourselves, or you can just go. We're gonna go have an executive session, and then we're going to adjourn.
And we have nothing else after that, correct?
Correct.
I can shut off the,
You have to
Because we won't have
state the
anything else.
reason for the meeting.
Yeah, we did.
An employment issue.
I stated that.
Personnel.
Nothing beyond that.
Personnel issues was what it was discussed as.
Yes, so let's go do that. Thanks for coming, everybody. Really appreciate it.
so for Facebook land, it's the end of the meeting.
Folks, it is 5:15 PM.